Hello and welcome back to my simple channel. I'm Simply Dave, and today I have another tier list. Now, I know from the title you're obviously aware of the subject at hand. It's a wrestling game tier list, more specifically video games. If I included board games, then come on, obviously the WWE DVD board game would go in S tier. This video is going to be pretty long, so let's jump in. Now, the format is going to be different from the last tier list. As you can see, I'm showing you what I haven't played right now, and I will continue to move up the scale until we are done. Quick honorable mention to the stuff I haven't played. I've never played a handheld wrestling game. I've also never played any Japanese wrestling game except for Fire Pro Wrestling World, which we will get into later. And there are some games on here that I probably know enough about to rank, but I have never picked up a controller and played them myself, so we're going to be leaving them out. Now let's get into the games, starting with the bad. In F tier, I have the two games you'd probably expect to be in F. WWE 2K20 was notoriously bad for its glitches and generally just awful graphics. Oh! I think what I just showed proves the game is bad on its own, so let's move on. WrestleMania 21 is basically the same thing, except somehow better graphics. Fun fact, did you know this game originally had to be patched because it barely even functioned? Think about that. An original Xbox game had to be patched. That is how much of a mess this game was. Now, obviously, I understand deadlines and basically a brand new studio plays a part in that, but Jesus, man, that's awful. And then after it got patched, guess what? The game sucked anyway. So yeah, that's the F tier. Starting off the D tier, we have WWF WrestleMania, the first ever WWF video game released for the NES. It's meh. You play it 3 times and then never again. Right next to it is a plug-and-play WWE game. Same thing, basically. And yes, I do think these two very simple games are better than fucking WWE 2K20. After the plug-and-play is Legends of WrestleMania. While it had cool features and the ability to import the roster from SVR09 in it, I'd rather play SVR09. Notice a pattern. The gameplay for these games so far is basically the same, repetitive, and boring. WCW NWO Thunder, on the other hand, isn't boring, it's just very mediocre. The gameplay can get frustrating, and it doesn't have a whole lot of stuff to do. It's also just trash. So yeah, that's the D tier. Pretty mediocre and repetitive stuff. That was basically the entire theme. The C tier is where we're getting a little better, but these games are basically middle of the pack. First, we have 2K Battlegrounds. That was fun for maybe a week or two. And then it just died. What didn't help was the lack of diverse movesets. Everyone felt the same. Also, the graphics weren't all that great. Next game is 2K18, which I feel like it was good, but I don't know if it was just me. That game felt very slow. Like, really slow. The graphics were good, the roster was good, but the gameplay was just slow and only okay. Now, I understand that putting 2K15 over 18 is a bit of a hot take, but I believe it to be true. Yes, 2K15 did not nearly have as much stuff as 18, but the gameplay was nowhere near that slow. This was also the last game with a meaningful 2K showcase that I'd play multiple times. SVR09 was better than all of these though, because yes, this was the game that removed GM mode, but it also added the Inferno match. The story creator it also added too, and that's something we will probably never see again, unfortunately. And its gameplay out of all of these was a lot faster, and also had a really good road to WrestleMania. That's the end of the C tier. We are now moving on to B, which is when the games start to pick up in quality. First, we have WCW NWO World Tour. This game is pretty good, but it's just a lesser WrestleMania 2000. And WrestleMania 2000 is just a lesser No Mercy, but this time No Mercy is not directly next to it. Instead, it's WrestleMania 19, a game that had a crazy story mode and some pretty good gameplay. I guess it would be comparable to Day of Reckoning, but I haven't played those, unfortunately. Right after that, we have SVR 2010, a game that improved a lot on SVR 09 and has a better roster in my opinion, but everything 2010 did, 2011 did better. SVR 2011 probably had the best weapon physics in a WWE game up until this point. And also the introduction of Universe Mode. Pretty cool, but a small complaint I have about that is in this game, they don't make it obvious on how to turn Universe Mode off. If you leave it on, matches you do in Exhibition Mode will affect this already created Universe Mode save, and it's pretty annoying until you flick the right stick. WWE All-Stars is just loads of fun. Nuff said. Okay, well, I know this one guy that doesn't like it, but it's fine. WWE 2K16 improved greatly on 15. It had some good gameplay and a lot more modes, but unfortunately, it introduced the bane of my existence, reversal limits. And let me tell you, I hate reversal limits. I don't care about simulation reasons. This is a video game. WWE 12 was the second to last game that was published by THQ and also had the last ever Road to WrestleMania mode, which was pretty decent. WWE 13, on the other hand, improved everything about 12, and I think it's a pretty damn good game to go out on with THQ. The Attitude Era mode was amazing, and WWE 13 had a lot of modes. SVR 2008 is above it though because it has the best, in my opinion, version of GM mode, and 2006 is above that because it was the introduction of GM mode, and the gameplay was better in 06 than 08. That's the B tier. A is for amazing games, with minor flaws. The first ever SmackDown vs. Raw was basically Here Comes the Pain, but with a better soundtrack and less finisher slots. Also no ramp cam. 2K17 was just really good. It came out right when the brand split happened though, meaning that it was outdated on release, and again, reversal limits. 2K19 was 2K's best game for a while, especially since 20 came out and 19 had to essentially hard carry for a whole 2 years. Minor gripes include the white menu, it was just really annoying to deal with if you were playing the game at nighttime, and the reversal limit. Both SmackDown games are basically the same tier because in my opinion they're very similar to each other. Doesn't help that they literally came out within months of each other as well. 2 slightly edges it out though for more variety. SVR 07 had graphics that I don't think I've ever seen in a wrestling game again. This is peak. Solid game overall. 2K14 is obviously a great game, probably because 2K had nothing to do with its development, essentially. Everyone knows why that and No Mercy are also great. And 2K22 tops the A tier. It's 2K's second best game, the first being 23, which wasn't on the list. That's linked below, by the way. 23 would top A if it was here. Great job that they removed the reversal limits, but then added a paywall mode. And that completes the A tier. Finally, last but not least, it's the S tier. Perfect games with little to no flaws. There are only 3 games here, the first being Fire Pro Wrestling World, a game that you can do literally everything in. Everything, from adding in theme songs all the way to making pretty accurate sprites and unique animations. SmackDown Here Comes the Pain needs no introduction. It is what many consider the best game. However, Alright, now hear me out. Shut Your Mouth has faster gameplay and I believe to be the better roster. It also has a better presentation, in my opinion. It screams SmackDown, and that's why I place it above Here Comes the Pain, despite that game also being very good. Shut Your Mouth is, in my opinion, the greatest wrestling game of all time. Wow, I am such a fucking geek. Hey! End card. Lovely. So this video was kind of procrastinated upon. I ended up taking a little over a week off from YouTube, so that's... yeah. I mean, recently I've been more into my manga interests lately. If you want to see a video on that, I can do that as well. I've got a manga collection. I can probably show that off. That's popular, right? Anyways, that's about all I have to say. Holy shit, this video's over 10 minutes, yo!